thinking. When I had you, I treated you bad and oh, so wrong, my dear. But since you've been away, oh, don't you know that I sit around with my head hanging down, and I wonder who's loving, who's loving you. Welcome, friends. Hey, this is a brand new thing that I'm doing. It's called Center Stage Confidence Live, and this is episode number 1. I'm so excited that you are here. This is something that I'm going to be doing weekly. I've thought a lot about this. I've had mayhap sexual dreams about it. No, but I've really been excited to do this because I love being live. I just was with PBS and on Broadway doing a show called The Leading Ladies of Broadway, and we were filming and taping, and so many of my friends, like the leading ladies of Broadway, I'm talking about like Mandy Gonzalez and Jesse Mueller and Lindsay Mendez and BB Newworth and Jennifer Holliday and so many amazing people were at that show, and I got to do hosting for PBS for the show itself. Anyway, I digress. I love being on the camera, and I love being center stage, which is why I call this Center Stage Live. Not only is it Center Stage Live, just because I like being center stage at zero, if you will, but it's also leading up to the release of my new book, Center Stage Confidence. I'm so excited. Entrepreneur Press, the same people who make Entrepreneur Magazine, said, "Hey, Justin, you got something to say?" I said, "Yes, I do. It's about confidence." And they said, "Well, we would love to publish that." So I'm so excited. It will be my very first published book, and confidence is such a huge thing for me. And we are in a season of the beginning of American Idol. I don't know, maybe if you've seen it on your social media. My social media is flooded with American Idol stuff, and I love it because it just reminds me of my time on American Idol and the things that I've gotten to do since then. And if you go to certainly Instagram, but I think Facebook too, and I gotta throw it up on TikTok, I show you video in my latest post of me singing in front of the judges for that very first time, waiting to see if I was going to get that ticket to Hollywood. And I remember sitting at the time, because it was this season 1, in front of Randy, Paula, and Simon, singing my heart out. As a matter of fact, the song that I just sang was that. It was from that. That's exactly what I sang. And so one of the comments that I got from Paula was actually, this is a really joyful, fun, confident performance audition. And that was an interesting time for me because I wasn't sure. I walked in that room. I had no idea if I was actually going to go to Hollywood, if they were going to like me. I didn't know what was what. And part of the reason why I wrote the book, Center Stage Confidence, which is going to come out in a little while, and the reason why I'm doing Center Stage Confidence Live, as we can see here, I see you, Blue Eyes, thank you, on TikTok there, is because I feel so passionate about helping other people and showing other people how to stand center stage in their life, whether that is in a relationship, whether that's with your body, whether that's with your business, whether that's even with your spiritual life. Being center stage in your life is where I believe everybody should be. Everyone should have the right to feel confident in what they do. Now, what do I mean by confidence? What I mean by that is, at the end of the day, when we look at the word confidence, the root word of confidence is confide, which means to trust. And so when we have self-confidence, self-confidence, aka self-confidence. It just means that we trust in ourselves. But how do we trust in ourselves? And so many people are like, but I don't know, in relationships, I don't feel confident. Maybe you've been hurt before. Or in my spiritual life, like I don't know what to trust. I don't know. I don't even trust how I feel, much less what somebody else is telling me once a week, if that at all. Or maybe I don't trust myself with money, or in my job, in my life. Like, I just don't trust myself with food. I don't trust myself with whatever that is. Well, here's the thing. Confidence is not this thing that you all of a sudden just like have and you move forward and all of a sudden things are great. No, confidence actually comes from moving forward in uncertainty. And one of my most vivid memories of moving forward in uncertainty has to do with American Idol, not just standing in front of Paula, Simon, and Randy. What's up, Taylor? I see you. But actually after that, because I'd gotten the ticket to Hollywood, and you see so many people like, Carrie and Lionel and Luke are saying, hey, go ahead and go off to Hollywood. You got it. And everyone's like, yeah, but that's just the beginning. A lot of people don't recognize that, wait, I just got through the first huge gauntlet, because there are thousands upon thousands of people auditioning just to get that yes to go to Hollywood. But then it shrinks down to only so many hundred. Hey, look at that. Boom. Only so many hundred people who are in Hollywood, who are the best of the best in the country. And so I remember I found myself in Hollywood, and you get there and you're excited. And I'd never been to the West Coast before, certainly never been to California. And I'm like looking for the Hollywood sign, like doing all these things. And so we find ourselves in the theater in the Pasadena Civic Center. Now, the Pasadena Civic Center, if you've never been there, is like one of these old, staid, beautiful theaters that you can like smell the age in it. You smell the wood and like the seats, the red velvet seats, and you got that. I mean, it is every theater that you think a theater should be. And of course it was, because it was the first season of American Idol when we were there, and it was exciting and people were excited, and American Idol went all in. So of course we were going to be an iconic theater in LA. And so I find myself walking down the aisle one day and seeing all of my friends in the orchestra section kind of waiting in between shoots. Now, these are my friends, but they're also my competitors. And seeing the judges' dais where, they had like the Coca-Colas up there, and that's where the three of them sat, and the cameras and the lights and the smoke and the American Idol logo. But what a lot of people don't know is that, yeah, I was like there. I was in Hollywood. I was confidently stepping into a dream that I'd had forever, to sing, to be on the stage. And yet there was another dream that was hanging in the balance. Before I set foot in that audition room with Simon, Paula, and Randy, I had set foot in a lot of audition rooms for musical theater. What's up, Les? Hey, Michelle, Taisha, I see y'all. Thanks for being here. So I'd set foot in a lot of audition rooms before that point, and I was auditioning for musical theater. My dream was to be on Broadway, right? I had these two sort of competing dreams. Both of them like kind of like, what? Okay, I'm either going to be singing in the music industry and doing things, and another time I'll tell you the story about what inspired me to be in actually like a recording artist, or I'm going to be on Broadway. And I'd been in this audition, and I nailed this audition, and I had the opportunity to be in The Lion King on Broadway. I'm talking about The Lion King like right after it first came out. It was, and still is to this day, amazing. But think about it. That's Disney, a huge property where you're at the beginning. People were still wild about Lion King. I mean, people still are, but you know what I'm saying? Like when it first came out, I had the opportunity. I had gotten a phone call like a week before I went out to Hollywood. And the casting director, I mean, I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a manager, I didn't have nothing. The casting director was talking to me on the phone. If you knew anything about the entertainment industry, that's like wild. And so talking to the phone, say, hey, that audition that you did, we'd love to see you. We'd love to have your Broadway debut. And I was like, hey, yeah, but there's this other thing out in Hollywood. It's the American Idol. I've never done it. Can I call you back in a week? Because I made it. He's like, yeah, call me back in a week. So I had bird in the hand Broadway Mind you, I was 22. Bird in the Hand, Broadway. And yet I find myself about a week later walking down the aisle of the Pasadena Civic Center on American Idol, knowing that I was one of about 100 people left. And I had the opportunity to go on to the next level, which was the live shows in studio, live in front of who knows how many people, millions of people for sure. And so I remember walking down the Pasadena Civic Center aisle, knowing that I had to make this decision, feeling uncertain because I was like, well, I could just leave now and I'm going to go to Broadway and I'll be in The Lion King, one of the biggest Disney properties at the time. Or there's this thing that feels really good. It's called American Idol. Nobody's ever heard of it. Not an episode had aired at that point. I'm one of 100 people competing, exhausted, going through all the things that you see people go through in Hollywood Week and more. And I felt like I was just being pulled in two directions in this uncertain place, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know which way to turn. I had no idea which choice was the right choice until I stopped. And in my moment of uncertainty, in my moment of confusion, in my moment of not knowing what to do, I just listened. I stopped and I observed. And while I was standing there in the Pasadena Civic Center, I looked up at the stage where the American Idol logo was, the lights, the smoke, where I and so many of my friends / competitors had been up on the stage, competing, exhausted, going through all the... And I realized, wait, that stage that I'm on is the same exact stage that at the 50th anniversary of Motown, Michael Jackson first did the moonwalk. On that stage, so many of the people that I love, that have inspired me, they've been on that stage, and I'm on that stage. I've been on that stage too. I have the opportunity to be on that stage. Yes, I have this thing in hand that is awesome. It's Disney. I mean, it still is going, right? The Lion King is still going. And yet here's this thing that I'm not quite certain about, but it feels right. And it calls back to so many of the things that I love. And it's a huge risk, but it's not taking a risk on anybody other than taking a risk on me. And in that moment, I stopped and I just listened. And this little voice said, do this. Have you ever had an experience like that where it did not make any sense for you to move forward in the direction that you move forward in, but you did it anyway? Because you either trusted in yourself, or you trusted God, or you trusted the universe, you trusted whatever. There was just something where it does not make sense, but I'm going to move forward regardless, because there's something that I can't name. There's something about this moment that just feels right. And if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it. Well, that to me is a part of confidence, a huge part of confidence, moving forward in uncertainty and trusting that the path will unfold before you. I'm not saying like blindly moving forward. However, I knew and I felt in that moment on American Idol, with the momentum that I had, that was the right choice for me.
We had a couple of questions jumping in. Do you want to answer?
Oh yeah, sure. There's some questions. And also, this is another thing is questions too, by the way. Like I'm here, and so go ahead and ask questions.
Question was, did you have a hard time moving on after American
Idol? After American Idol? Yeah, sure. And yeah, if you want to put those questions in the text, I just have them right here. Yeah, the question came in, did I have a hard time moving on after American Idol? And the answer is kind of twofold, because at the time, I wanted to move on. I didn't want to be known for one thing. And I think it was a bit short-sighted, because my publicist of almost 22 years one of my best friends, amazing guy, amazing guy, passed away a couple of years ago of cancer, always said to me, it's like, you'll always be known for the last biggest thing that you did. And part of me didn't want to be associated with American Idol. Part of me didn't want to, because I had been through the ringer, and I'll tell you that story another day. However, I realized that it was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my career, because it gave me such a huge boost. I mean, you can't get in front of 30 million television viewers, much less 30 million live television viewers, unless, you know, we're talking about like Super Bowl. We're talking about like wild events like that, like huge events like that. Yet that's what it was for me. That's why you're still sticking around, or maybe you're like, oh, wait, what? I remember that guy, whatever that is because we planted such a flag in people's minds at that time in history that I credit it for the foundation for so many of the things I've been able to do, whether that's 7 Broadway shows or being in commercials for 7 years, or the voiceover work that I do with Disney on Super Kitties, or all of the other stuff that I've gotten to do in the entertainment industry, including live red carpets, you know, for the Tonys, for the Emmys, and the Grammys rather. And yeah, it's huge. But it was a challenge to move on, because in the industry, and this is a double-edged sword, people see you for one thing, and sometimes you can get pigeonholed that way. And it's great in some ways, you know, like I don't think that like Morgan Freeman's upset that he does Morgan Freeman-y things, right? Right? And yet at the same time, when you're young and full of vinegar, if you will, sometimes you don't realize like, well, that's a beautiful thing. That was a great question. That was a great question. If there are any more questions, let me know. For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. So
Where to get a copy of the book?
Oh, where to get the copy of the book? For you, if you don't know, I just wrote a book called Center Stage Confidence. Center Stage Confidence. Yes, that's right. It combines all the things that I have learned from 20 plus years in the entertainment industry, all the things I've seen to make people stay at the top and enjoy it, actually, and learn to trust themselves at center stage. Now, whether that's center stage or whether you're speaking or entertaining, or center stage if you're in your relationships, center stage in your own life, center stage in your business, center stage in your spiritual life, whatever that is. I wrote this book published by Entrepreneur Press, the same people who make Entrepreneur Magazine. I'm very excited. And you can get it on Amazon. I think there's a link somewhere. Is there a link somewhere? There's certainly a link in many of the places. I think we'll post a link in the TikTok. It might be in my bio. Again, this is Center Stage Confidence, something that I want to do weekly at the very least. And not only just get on here and sing and answer questions, but also talk about confidence. I would love to hear some of your voices as well, and speak with you directly too. I mean, come on, let's go. Let's make it happen, because this is not all about me. Although this episode, because it's the first one, is all about me, because I actually have to figure out how certain things work. But that being said, I've had a great time. And so to finish out the story, and for those of you who are just arriving, it's all good. I'm going to be doing more of this, and we'll talk more stories, more wacky, weird, wild, wonderful things from my life in the entertainment business. But that being said, I listened to that voice. I was uncertain, yet I felt confident that I could go forward in the music industry, forward with American Idol. I felt confident and trusted in myself, trusted all the times that my parents took me to rehearsals, all the times that I had failed on the stage, all the times I'd forgotten lines, forgotten lyrics. That's another story I'm going to tell you, how I forgot my lyrics in front of 30 million live television viewers and got away with it. And then I ultimately realized, like, I believe I can do this. I trusted in myself, even though I didn't know what was going to happen. And ultimately, I think the right thing did happen, because many, many years later, about 10 years later, after that, after being on American Idol, touring around the country, having an album, touring that, going overseas to sing, I came back to America and I had the opportunity to be a part of a Broadway show. And that thing that I was holding on so tightly to it, I let it go. That opportunity to be on Broadway, I let it go for this thing that just felt right. And I trusted in myself, and I trusted that little voice. I'd like to think of it as God just whispering to me, this is okay. Do this thing. Do this thing. And he was right. Because boy, it set me up to do everything else that I've gotten to do. And so that opportunity came back around. Broadway came back around. And my opening night party was in the conference room in the hotel where I'd first auditioned for American Idol. Crazy 360 moment in my life. I was like, oh my goodness, I was here 10 years ago and now I'm back, but I'm back in a way that I would have never, ever imagined that I would have been 10 years ago. And so a few more questions have come in here. And then I'm going to sing and I'm going to wrap up this episode. But someone said, Thomas is one of my go-to karaoke songs. What's my go-to song? Kelsey. Hey, Kelsey, thanks so much for that question. One of my go-to karaoke songs is like, Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, which I do with my best friend, who's also a great singer. And then the other one is This Masquerade by George Benson. It is like way off the beaten track, but it's kind of fun. And I dig it. So those are my two. Another question came in, or a comment came in that said, hey, will we see you on a voiceover for a live action Disney remake? Maybe. You never know. I'll have to talk to Disney about that. But I am a Super Kitty. I'm technically on Super Kitties. So if you are between the ages of 2 and 7, I don't know if you should be on this platform. But if you know someone or have someone in your life who's in between the ages of 2 and 7, then they may have heard of Super Kitties. It's so much fun. I get to play a fun little cat burglar, and he's a cute little guy who does unfortunately steal things, but always learns his lesson. And if nothing else, makes a great cat and mouse chase for the Super Kitties. No, I don't have any new music currently coming out, although that is certainly in the works in some future date. Let's see. Somebody said, do I have a question? Do I have any relationships with a group back in the day that was called 3T? 3T. I'm not sure. That sounds sort of familiar. Maybe. I don't know. Everything before 2020 is kind of a bit of a haze. Not really. But ultimately, maybe that was like a Westminster Choir College thing. I'm not sure. That's a really good question. And finally, someone said, are you low sweet? Yes, I am low sweet. Just put a beard on me and a red wig and a bunch of shiny stuff. And that's what I did. Yeah, for about 7 years, I got to play the character Low Sweet for Diet Dr. Pepper and Dr. Pepper on national television, beaming into hundreds of millions of homes every single day. It was a beautiful thing. And I look forward to doing more things like that in the future. But hey, I would love for you to, is there something that I'm missing here? Huh?
How did you handle disappointment and not let it get to you? It's a great question.
Oh, great. Somebody had a question from who?
Durham24.
Durham24 asked, how did I handle disappointment, like specifically with American Idol? Or just in general, how do I handle disappointment? You know what? I go through it. I allow myself to be disappointed. That's the thing. Like, it's almost like with stage fright and nerves. I feel like triggers happen for a reason. And so many of us, and ask me how I know, I'm not preaching at you. Ask me how I know. Like, triggers happen for a reason, and some of us try to just distract ourselves, or to numb out, or to not feel that trigger. However, when you talk about disappointment, I think of it the same way as stage fright. When you feel stage fright, like you're about to go on and in front of a group, whether that's in front of a classroom or on a stage or on a live like this, and your palms start sweating and you get shaky and your voice and your breath is, most people think that that's a bad thing. Right? Most people think that, oh, I shouldn't be feeling these things. That's terrible. No. But when we look at the thought behind the thought, when we look at the action behind the reaction, what we understand and realize is that is a beautiful thing. It is just showing, hey, I care about this. It's that thing, that nerves, the stage fright. It's what sits over top of your passion, your care, your belief. You're wanting to do a good job. You're wanting to be accepted. You're wanting to be fill in the blank. Or your desire to have other people see you that way. Which is, hey, Tim, thanks, buddy. Which is ultimately, if we bring it back to the self, the desire to feel that way about ourselves. And yet the nerves and the is what we think about. And we think, no, I can't do this. I run away from that. But I guarantee you, from experience, not only myself, but the people that I work with all the time, that when you move into that, when you breathe into that, when you step forward in that uncertainty and go and do it anyway, even when your hands are shaking, your palms are sweating, even when your voice is cracking, even when you feel nervous, even when you move into it and you experience it and you realize that you're not going to die or get arrested, instantaneously you begin to lower the power that nerves and stage fright have over you. You begin to shift the energy away from, this is not something I should feel. This is bad. This means I'm not good enough. This means I'm not right. I shouldn't be doing this. You shift it away from that towards, oh, I care a lot. And look, instead of running away from this, I actually step forward into it, and sure, my hands are shaking. Sure, they're sweaty. Sure, my voice is shaking. Sure, I'm not quite sure, but I'm here. I didn't die. I didn't get arrested. And I'm going to just move through it. Think about it. In any area of your life, when you want to grow, you must be uncomfortable in order to do it. You must move through discomfort. You go to the gym and you lift a bunch of weights, or you run, and what happens the next day? It's not even the next day. While you're doing it, you get tired, you get uncomfortable with what's happening in the body sense. You're actually tearing the muscles down so that they can come back together stronger. You're going through discomfort so that you can come back a stronger person, so that you realize that as I go through this, I'm okay. And the more you do it, the more okay you are. Giving me roses. You're so silly. And that's it. Because I guarantee you, everybody who you think has that thing that you don't have, has that confidence that you don't have, has that ability that you don't have, has that thing that you want, has gone through uncomfortable periods in order to get there. They've just gone through it instead of run away from it. Instead of reacting to their feelings, they take action through their feelings, and recognizing, especially when it comes to stage fright or self-doubt or that uncertainty or that lack of confidence, they move into it. And so that was a very long answer, Tim. Thank you very much for that. That was a very long answer to, I experienced it. I go through it and I realize I'm really disappointed. I feel this way. I feel disappointed. Not I am disappointed. Ooh, oh, y'all got me preaching now. Because we're talking about identity versus feelings. You are not your feelings. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back row. You are not your feelings. And yet, when we say, I am angry, I am this, I am that, we are actually taking on the identity of those feelings, but it's not true. Feelings are like a rock through a waterfall. Whew, you throw a rock through a waterfall, the curtain parts a little bit, and then it keeps going. And yet we hold on to the rocks and we put them in our backpack, and we hold on to all the rah, and we wonder why we walk around feeling so heavy. So I feel disappointed. My feelings change. I sit in that feeling and I say, okay, I can just sit here and feel disappointed. Who and what does that serve? And it's true, I can feel disappointed. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. However, in my disappointment, I say, well, what is something that I could have done differently or better? What's something that next time this comes around, I can be more prepared? I can be this, I can be that, I could try this. And yes, this didn't work. But very famously, Thomas Edison took 10,000 tries to invent the light bulb. And when a reporter came up to him and said, how did you, I mean, most people would have given up at 25. Most people would have given up at 365. Most people would have given up at 5,525, 8,624, maybe even 9,999, but you didn't give up until 10,001, and you didn't give up. You actually got the thing. How did you withstand that kind of failure? And very famously, Thomas Edison turned to him and said, well, I didn't fail. I just learned 10,000 ways not to make the light bulb. And so that being said, we find ourselves in the same place with failure or with disappointment or with these negative things that we want to run away from, we push off. When we embrace them and we say, oh my goodness, I am not that thing. I'm not defined by that thing. However, I can take definition from that experience and move forward stronger, smarter, and more able. Then our greatest failures become our greatest lessons, our greatest teachers, and our greatest assets. Because no one who has that thing that you want, I should say all of the people who have that thing that you want, whether it's in your body, whether it's in your spiritual life, when it's in your relationships, whether it's in your business with money, all of them have failed repeatedly. All of them have felt a lack of confidence, yet they've moved forward, moved through it, and ultimately attained that thing that you think you can't have, that thing that you want. And so I would offer that same gift to you. And one way that you can find out how to do that more efficiently and quickly is to go ahead and pre-order my book on Amazon, Center Stage Confidence. It is coming out in a little while. I'm so super excited. Hey, I'm wrapping this episode up. There's so many great questions that have come through. However, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I'm going to keep doing this. It's going to be fantastic. And if you pre-order right now, I am giving thousands of bonuses away. There's the thing, you just pre-order the book, and then you go and you get a bonus pack. All you have to do is show me the thing. I think the link that I put in there is the link to actually Amazon directly, not to the thing. That's fine. Okay, that's good. Okay, right. All good. So that being said, when you pre-order the book, there are thousands of bonuses, thousands of dollars worth of bonuses included with that, because that's just how I roll. Hey, so if confidence being center stage and having that center stage confidence, all eyes on me, sounds good to you, then you know exactly what to do. Go ahead and pre-order that book right now. But when I had you, I treated you bad and oh so wrong, my dear. And since you've been away, don't you know that I sit around with my head hanging down, and I wonder who's loving you. Say who's loving you. I'm singing Nat King Cole in a couple of weeks, so I gotta get my baritone on. But hey, this has been Center Stage Confidence Live, episode 1. I'm so excited that you were here, whether you're just joining or you've been here the whole time. Now that we're on the same page, I'll see you center stage.